Hey everybody, today we're going to be going over Tactical Master and Grand Marshal and which one you should be using in battle. But first I just want to give a quick mention about our sponsors for today's video. Today's video is sponsored by Liquid Ice, the next generation of energy drinks. This is the most delicious and not nasty aftertaste leaving energy drink on the market. You guys should definitely try yours today. There's a link in the description to do that. So with that, we'll jump into the video. So I have played extensively as Grand Marshal. Recently I switched over to Tactical Master just for this video. And I've talked to a lot of people about Tactical Master and kind of the pros and cons of it. So the first thing I want to do is kind of start out by saying what the big differences are. The big differences for Tactical Master is this thing called Encirclement. And then you get what is called Elite Troops. Elite Troops are basically level 83 troops, basic is the easiest way to describe them. And I can show you the stats of them right here. You'll see that your normal level 80 troops are about 650 mil health, 2.6 billion HP. You can see that a level 83, which are the elites, are basically double. It's a little less, it's like 78, 79%, something like that, but that's a big difference in battle once you start adding in your stats. Now, for your average player, it makes a big difference. But now, the other thing with Grand Marshal that you get is you get a third hero, and then you also get an additional skill slot. So, kind of a give and take thing there where you have to decide what you need and what's better for you. Now, I'm going to suggest this now in the beginning of the video, and then I'll talk about it more later at the end. What I would suggest for your average player is actually when you first finish your basic perk, so your Combat Elite, to switch to Tactical Master until you get right down near that third hero. And then once you get that third hero spot where you can get the third hero, which is actually Encirclement, believe it or not, it's the exact same spot, exact same amount of time. Once you get that, you switch back over. So Tactical Master, once you get to Encirclement, you'd switch over to Grand Marshal. And then once you're at Grand Marshal 3 heroes, then that's where it kind of is determined by what type of player you are. So if you are you kind of need to be a whale to be a Tactical Master at a high level. It is very, very needy of statistics, but if you have those stats, they are very powerful and not to be underrated. So with it, you do want to be able to make sure you have all three of the elite troops, which are these top researches here. So that means you have to have an additional 1,500 badges from when you get Encirclement or your Grand Marshal. So something to keep in mind. But so we will jump into some of the differences here, and I have them. So here are the differences side by side. So everything in blue is stuff that the other one does not have. So Tactical Master has Elite Air Force units, Elite Army units, Elite Navy units. It has Encirclement. It has training speed increase 30%, all unit attack 30%, all unit HP 30%, and damage decrease 25%. Grand Marshal doesn't have any of that, but Grand Marshal does have an additional skill slot for Air, Army, and Navy, a third hero in each march, experience book percentage increase, hero attack percent increase, hero command percentage increase, and hero defense percentage increase. Now, some of the big things there for Grand Marshal is that hero command percentage. That means you're sending more troops, plus you're getting a third hero, which sends more troops. So you can send a lot more troops with Grand Marshal, which is kind of the downside to Tactical Masters. You can't send as many troops unless you have a lot of Decker and base skins. Now, the things in the orange and the yellow are where it is higher when you are Tactical Master, the stats are, and it's lower when you're Grand Marshal. So you can see, can I move this a second? For the most part, it's about double the stats, so it's something to keep in mind that you're getting more stats for being Tactical Master, which kind of makes up for not having that third hero. Now, the difference isn't a ton, and it's stuff that could easily be made up with, I don't know, for say 3 skill slots. So um, this is where I'm trying to show you a fair comparison that Tactical Master and Grand Marshal both are feasible and they're both very good. They both just have to have their upsides. So here is the Tactical Master breakdown. So up here in the top left, you will see everything that is needed to complete the entire tree. So you can see the food that's needed, the number of nameplates, and the time. The time for Tactical Master is slightly longer than Grand Marshal, but you'll see right here in the encirclement, sum of food, 12943, sum of plates, 1566, and then I have the breakdown of time and days, so 672 days. When we come over here, it takes a little bit longer to get encirclement, which is approximately 80 days. Sum of food, sum of plates. So same number of plates, just a little longer, and I believe it's a little less resource needy to be Grand Marshal. So like I said, once you get encirclement, you can flip back over to the third hero on Grand Marshal. So that is what I would highly suggest for all players. Start as Tac Master and then switch to Grand Marshal. You'll definitely get a lot more boosts while you get that third hero, and then you can go from there and decide what you want to be moving forward after you get those additional 1500 plates. You can see up here that the time needed to complete the Grand Marshal tree is actually less. So you'll see 1,135 days. This is 1,289 days. So it's almost 130 days, 34 days less. And it's a lot less resource needy, which is kind of interesting because you're actually able to gather a lot faster as a Grand Marshal. So that's kind of the next benefit to Grand Marshal, whereas you have 3 heroes, that means you get 3 skill sets, which allows you to get 3 skill sets worth of gathering. So you're able to gather 1/3 faster. So something to think about there is you also gather faster as Grand Marshal, which can help you possibly make up the difference in resources and switch later. I kind of want to throw. Actually, we don't want to get into this quite yet. I kind of want to keep talking about the differences here. So, um, the big thing with Grand Marshal over Tactical Master is that skill slot also. So you have 3 extra skill slots if you have 3 heroes. So that allows you to have an additional 3 skill slots, plus you have the additional 5 skill slots that you normally have for that third hero. So that's really an additional 8 skill slots that you get per hero march. And I'll show you what I mean by that, because that can sound kind of confusing. So each hero, I don't want to use Bumblebee, each hero has 4 skill slots. Sorry, it's not an additional 8, it's an additional 6, so, or 7. So each hero has 4 skill slots, and then you get an additional one for Grand Marshal. So what that means is you have 1, 2, 3, 4 extra skill slots, and then on the next hero you have 1, 2. So, and then you have your extra one here, so 3. So 7 extra skill slots that you wouldn't have on Tactical Master. And that's where you're able to make up some of those stats difference. The only problem is some of the stats in Tactical Master you can't get skill slots for. So what I mean by that is if you're looking at the comparison side by side, you can't get all unit damage decreased. You can't make up 10% all unit damage increase. You can't make up some of these things, and you can't make them all up at once. So you can't make up all these different stats using just 3 heroes. You kind of have to pick and choose which ones you're going to make up the difference. And each skill slot will make up approximately, depending on your level, will make up that difference of the double. So if you have an army HP percentage, it'll make up pretty close to that 15%. Now it's going to be a little more once you start getting higher skill slots, but I'm talking right around that level 4, level 5 skill slot level. So another thing with Tactical Master that you got to keep in mind is that you also get increased training speed, and you don't have to use Odinium. Now that's a huge benefit. And what I mean by that is if you come out here right now to my base, all I have to do to train a troop, and this will make a level 83 troop right there. That's all I have to do. And they all are upgraded. Now, I only have the Army unlocked, but you can also unlock Air and Navy. So, some big downsides to Tactical Master earlier on. This might change later on, but if you go into Sand Table, your Sand Table numbers will drop. So I'll show you my Tactical Master Sand Table right in front of your face. This is going to be less than double of what. So 643B. So 643 billion. If we come into my highest damage, you can see it's 1.43T. I don't switch my skills and stuff for Sand Table. I just run in and do it quick because once you get to a certain point, you don't really get better rewards or not. So just to let you know why I don't push to get a high Sand Table score. Now, you'll see though that 643B is almost half of that 1.43T. It does range still, but the reason it's so different is because you don't get to send those elite units. So that's kind of a big thing, is if you can't send those elite units to Sand Table, then you're not getting the benefits of why TacMaster is good. Now, some other things that it's not as good for is Warzone. So Warzone is the same way, where you can't send the elite units on every Warzone. There's the one Warzone where it's all about your heroes, and the other Warzone's about other people's, or about the set heroes. So you don't get to send your elite units there either, which is also another downfall. So it's not, Tactical Master is not as good for events. I'm going to say that very, very plainly. It's not as good for events where you don't get to use the elite units. If you're using the elite units, then you gain your advantage back. But the elite units are really what makes this better. Some things that Tactical Master would be good for are weakening the opponent. So you have unlimited tanks here. So if you get hit, your defense is going to be a lot more solid because you have all these troops that are better than the Valhallas. So have better stats than the Valhallas, I should say. They may not be better because they don't have those extra skills like the tanks do, or the planes or the boats, but you can win by attrition. So what that means is you can win by having more of something. You can win by sending 2 marches at somebody and not have to worry about losing tanks because they're just going to degrade, and you can combine them right back again to make the 83 elite units. You'll see I have some level 80s here. These are actually Valhallas that got degraded. When your Valhallas get degraded, they do not go into the level 83 units. They stay at the level 80 normal units. So something to keep in mind if you're a Tactical Master, that once you do that, it does not switch back. So it's kind of, it's been a learning experience, I can say. I cannot say which one's better or worse. It definitely would depend on the player. I can show you guys some of one of these reports here, where you can see this is a level, or a 110 March Tactical Master versus a 159 March Grand Marshal, and you can see that they won. A lot of that is because of those additional stats. So there's that. Let's go into, I can't get into that chat, so I will go into my battle reports here. So it wasn't exactly the best. I can show you some of these things here where me being with my stats against some of the stronger players, you'll see that I wasn't able to hold. And a big thing about Tactical Master is you're going to definitely want heroes like Villy, Amalia, Selena, Prime, the heroes that are universal heroes. They can be used anywhere. If you have specialized heroes like Katyusha, Nimitz, it's not going to benefit you as much because you're missing out on your little bit of stats from their skills. And those skills really, really help in the battle. And you definitely want them to be utilized to their fullest. So if you had Villy, her skill gives you all forces 41.9% increase, and when she's 5-star, 73.4%. That's a big increase for all your troops, because with encirclement, you have to send a mixed march. So what that means is you have to send a march of, we'll do it this way so you guys can see it easier. You have to send a march of Army, Navy, and Air Force, and it needs to have a mixture. Now, once you get to be a higher level, and this is where I'm saying that the higher level players might want to think about switching back, because if they have Villy and Selena has that level 7 skill, you could do something like this and send all 3 troops, or even put all tanks up front, then put your boats in the middle and your planes in the back. And what this would allow you to do is this allows you to have everybody's weakness and have the better troops. So you would basically be sending a mixed march with fully upgraded units against typically what's I call a solo march, where it's all one type of unit. So that would give you a huge advantage in battle, especially when you're trying to base hit somebody or you're hitting a tower where there's multiple different types of people and marches in there. It gives you the advantage to have the tanks be your defense, and then have your ships and your planes sit and do your damage per second. So, kind of a tip there. I just thought of another thing when I was doing that. I don't remember what it was. I'm sorry. But that's kind of the thing, is you have to be able to send all 3 types of units, and they need to be the elite units. So that's what you definitely need to focus on, is if you're going to be a tactical master, you need to upgrade to the elite units, and you definitely need to focus on your stats and having them be as powerful as you can. With that, I think there's not a lot else. I'm sorry if this video got a little long-winded. There's kind of a lot to cover, and I want to make sure that I give you guys everything that I can for this. Oh, the last thing, that's what I was thinking. Components. To be a good tac master, you need to have balanced components. And what I mean by that is you need to have your components spread across all 3 types of troops. So you'll see right now mine are all almost Army, because I've been focused on strictly Army. If you have weak Navy and Air Force like this, you're not going to really get the benefit. You need that to be as strong as possible. So that was the last thing. And then your mastery, you're also going to want to level those up equally, because all your unit types get used. So that's the thing to think about, is everything needs to be balanced when you're a tactical master. You need good suppression everywhere, good components, good skills, heroes that can be used for all 3 unit types, not just one. You need equipment for all your hero or all your unit types. So if you come into your equipment, you need Navy equipment, Air Force equipment, and I can suggest this for, how I said that everybody should start as TAC Master until they get Encirclement unlocked, and then they can decide if they want to keep TAC Master or become Grand Marshal. The easiest way to do that is to take your gray equipment and make them quick. You can fill out almost all the slots really, really quickly, and then it gives you a little bit of boost at least while you work on getting upgrades for those. So, but that's something you have to think about, is everything needs to be upgraded, and you want to try to upgrade it as balanced as possible so that you're not leaving something behind, because it will be a weakness and it will make Tactical Master not as strong. It needs to be a very, very balanced attack. So, heroes that work well for that: Prime, his skill works really well for that. The only thing that you miss is the disarming part of his skill. Amalia, we all know her skill. Some other ones. Philly is really good for this. Selena is good for this. And I believe Youth 914 wouldn't be bad. No, 914 would not work for that. Akatora would, though. So, just something to think about is you want to use those heroes that are universal. I'll be having some hero videos come out later on that kind of break down each of the heroes by their type, and then what I'll call the mixed bag where it's which heroes are kind of your best overall marches, even if they aren't the same march. So with that, I will let you guys be. I hope you'll have a wonderful day or night. Please hit that subscribe button. We're getting really, really close to 1,000, and I think I'm going to try to do something special for once we hit that 1,000. So it won't be related to Top War. It'll be something else that I kind of do in my free time. So please hit that subscribe button. I hope you all enjoy, and see ya.